So we're July 15th and outside the greenhouse. This is a batch of sunflowers that are volunteer from one of Hattie's sunflowers that she planted last year. And I was just watching a lot of the bees coming in. Sweet clover. Molly planted some no dig potatoes out front. She has some other things. Wild sunflower around. Sweet clover. Another variety of sunflowers that Hattie seeded last year, and then we just let them volunteer. We're finding that the tomatoes and some other vegetables in the greenhouse, when they came from volunteer, look really healthy, and stands to reason that seed was raised and matured in that environment. Some water storage. We collect the rainwater off of the eaves of this old hog barn that eventually will be retrofitted into a storage, more of a storage processing area. But last year on the back side of the greenhouse, we just had the apple trees and bare ground. So we decided to mulch it. We put a layer of second cutting alfalfa down, and then we covered it with straw. And then Molly, well, we planted some no-dig potatoes. We have some beans up against the wall. And we put these cattle panels up against the backside of the, or stock combination panels up against the backside of the greenhouse. You can see way down there, we have a squash growing up and over the top of the greenhouse. So, you know, just living roots and cover on the ground. I don't know for some reason why we left bare ground back here last year, but our little, this is a little cherry tree, I guess we planted this year, but the trees, the apple trees that are in the wire, the deer were coming up and just giving them a fit last fall, so we put this wire around them. But they seem to be happy with all their friends. So we've left the clover, the volunteer sunflowers, we left it grow up just to attract bees to get into the greenhouse. I guess maybe I'll take you into the greenhouse, but we have cucumbers up the wazoo, but they're just not getting that's the greenhouse. They're not getting pollinated. Sort of a tropical rainforest in here. Hattie's box turtle snickerdoodles in there. She loves it. But yeah, you can see these little cucumbers that are turning yellow. They just didn't get pollinated. And you know, there's one in there that, there are a couple in there that got pollinated. But we're having a hard time getting the bees talked into coming into our greenhouse. Tomatoes, we have these fans on to create some air current in here. That'll help pollinate the tomatoes. All cucumbers, and there's quite a few cucumbers on, and we've picked quite a few cucumbers, so But with all those flowers, there just should be a lot more cucumbers. North wall does not get the sun in the summertime. Sun's high, and it just does not do as well. When the sun starts getting lower and it starts to get back on that wall, it does better. But you just see this cucumber right here, how anemic it is. So, you know, this is our little peach tree dish experiments, but the importance of photosynthesis, I mean the importance of sunlight, you know, it all needs to come together, and just that little bit of shade, you know, just slows photosynthesis down, slows the carbon cycle down. So many different microclimates in this greenhouse, just so many. Another one of Hattie's sunflowers that came from seed, or I mean from volunteer, and we have some flies up there, but we don't have any bees. See a few butterflies in here. We have a bunch of geraniums, or not geraniums, marigolds planted. They help keep some of the bad bugs out. But another example of just a bunch of cucumber flowers that aren't getting pollinated. Our peach tree. We pruned and pruned and pruned on him, and he needs pruned and pruned and pruned again, but we'll wait till there's an R in the month before we prune again. Yeah. Hi, that's Sage. I'm doing a video. She's ready to go feed her pigs. Yeah, so my celery grove that we planted last year, some of it's going to seed, some of it's got a big stalk, but you know, I still love to come up here and pick a celery stalk and eat on it. It's still good. A bunch more flowers, trying to attract the bees to come in. Another example of the north side. Our trees are doing very well. Oh, there's a toad. Hattie planted a couple toads in here. Now we have a lot of toads. But we need to get some of these potted trees in the ground. This little guy could be doing a little bit better. He's not real happy right there, but that one's in the ground. All the ones in the ground have finally found their roots and are adapting to the new environment. I'm looking at the peach tree again. Just obnoxious. Yeah. We bought these worm farms, or these worm, I guess, farms. And our whole greenhouse is turned into a worm farm. It's just crazy the amount of worms that are in this greenhouse. Down on the bottom, on the floor, basement we call it, it's almost like you're walking on a sponge now. There's not a ton of plants other than the trees growing in there. We keep the wood chips on it. Every time we prune, we'll go ahead and throw our prunings down. But there's so many worms in the floor of this that it's like walking on a sponge almost. It's just crazy. You know? I mean, I just barely scratched the surface. And we got all these worms. It was we filled it with some manure from the feedlot when we backfilled in here. So there's a fair amount of organic matter that they're working on. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun. I haven't given an update for a while. Been busy haying, trying to get our brandings done. Sure missed the passion fruit. We had a big passion fruit that grew right here last year, and that December cold got it. And we plan on bringing another passion fruit in. We're just letting the tomatillas and the tomatoes take over this space. Here's the tomatilla right here. Yeah, so this is the west side looking east. Our grapes, you know, they're just not going great guns, but you know, like I said, zone 8 grapes by my geothermal tubes that sort of work as an air conditioner probably wasn't great placement. Seems like I'm more of a doer than a planner, so which is all right. Things get done, maybe not get done 100% exact. We really like how the tomatoes are growing on their trellises up the side. I believe that's a squash that somehow got in here, Molly. If it was from seed or what, but the ones with the big leaves are a summer squash. So it'll be exciting to see how much foliage or how much fruit we get up there. That it's going to be a lot of weight for sure. Put some flowers in the entry, try to attract some bees. The suction room, Molly still has tomatoes we got to get set out, but they're all from clippings off the tomatoes that volunteered, and then she'd start them in these pots. So she's getting awfully handy at doing some of that stuff. I try to keep the varmints out. We have some raccoon that visit on occasion. Doesn't keep Ginger out. She knows how to jump, so she just jumps over it, but she doesn't come up here too much when we're not around. All right, looking out on the west end, some more of Hattie's volunteer sunflowers. And we'll let them go to seed and volunteer again. We're all about, if they're happy where they're at, let them grow. We had some old brick laying around, and I just threw together some steps to get up to the... Oh, there's Sage. She's avoiding the video again. Looking at the potatoes and our garlic. This is the first year we really did much garlic, and so that's sort of fun. We're gonna next year, so I mean, the importance of photosynthesis, the greenhouse effect. We put the shade cloth on for the cooling, and we went with a 60% shade, 40% let the sun in. It's just amazing how cool it keeps that greenhouse. Them cooling fans very seldom ever run, to the point where we had to put those smaller fans in to get some airflow. But I think if I was to do it over again, I would go with a 50-50 or even a 40% shade, because I think we're cutting out too much sunlight for the photosynthesis. It's set up on a piece of PVC pipe on the bottom. We can roll it up and then, you know, take these bolts off and just roll it up. And here in a week or so, I think we're going to, just to try and allow a little bit more sunlight in. So a learning process. We added to our apple orchard any of the apple trees, pear trees that aren't in the wire were added this year. So I think we added like 9 more 9 more trees. Some more of the viney. Nice little muskmelon cantaloupe. The viney plants Molly put out here. Yeah, so it's just having a little fun and growing some produce. So hope you guys enjoy your day. We are.